Acharya Shri Vijay Vallabh School, Pune brings to you a webinar on Creative Art Therapy, a therapy of mind and soul. To know the different types of creative art therapy, to explore emotions, develop self-awareness, cope with stress, boost self-esteem, and work on social skills by our speaker Neha Oswal to identify the need of art therapy in students. Our chairman, Shri Subhashji Parmar, has inspired and guided us to become an creative art therapist. Let's begin with our today's interesting webinar.
A very good morning to one and all. I, Mrs. Sarika Rahul Paigode, on behalf of Acharya Shri Vijay Vallabh School, welcome you all for our today's interesting webinar, Creative Art Therapy, a therapy of mind and soul. To promote wellness, enhance memory, improve concentration skill, to improve self-esteem, and also give an individual a wing to express their feelings, we at Acharya Shri Vijay Vallabh School, under the guidance and support of our chairman, Shri Subhashji Parmar sir, and our respected committee members, we have come up with this exciting webinar, which will surely help to believe in the power of dream and in exploration of life. Now, I request our principal, Mrs. Jacinta Manuel ma'am, to kindly brief all of us about the working of our school. Over to you, ma'am.
Good morning, one and all. It's my pleasure to welcome everyone, and it's so wonderful to see you all here on this Sunday for a webinar on creative art therapy by our own ex-student, Neha Oswal Bafna. Art and craft is an essential part of our school curriculum, especially in view of academics-oriented performances, parameters by parents, and educational institutions. Learning art and craft doesn't foster the creative development of a child, but also assist in advancing and refining his or core skills, which in fact goes towards boosting academic achievement as well. At Acharya Shri Vijay Vallabh School, along with our academic curriculum, we focus on the creative art therapy umbrella, which covers the different areas of level, such as elementary exam, dance, exhibitions, music, and craft activities, which focuses on the wholesome development and enhances the various skills effectively. Our school also runs IECD, that is, Institute of Education and Career Development, where different classes which covers an umbrella of creative art therapy to upgrade everyone and bring change in their life, physically, mentally, and socially. These activities are very useful in upbringing process of the students. I express my gratitude to our chairman, Shri Subhashji Parmar sir, whose vision and wisdom inspires to work with passion and commitment. Thank you. Over to Sarika.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We at Acharya Shri Vijay Vallabh School are helping young minds to express themselves, understand their experiences, and also help to modify their behaviors. We are happy to say we are gaining academic, social, and emotional achievements. It's my pleasure to introduce our today's guest, who is also our ex-student, Mrs. Neha Oswal Bafna. Neha is a creative art therapy facilitator and psychology counselor. She is a creative dance movement facilitator certified by the International Dance Council, which is a non-governmental organization founded in 1973 within the UNESCO headquarters in Paris. Through her work, Neha is spreading the awareness and importance of dance movement therapy and creative art therapy in India. Neha has completed various courses such as NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, Visual Art Therapy, Music Therapy, West African Dance, and Psychology Counseling. She is also a Reiki healer. Additionally, Neha does drum circle facilitation, West African drumming with Tal Incorporation Company. She has been working with many groups, which includes corporates, children, women, NGOs, special needs population, and various other community groups. Dance being her passion and the urge to go beyond and make difference in people's lives keeps Neha on her toes. With great pleasure, we welcome you, Neha. I request you to express your views about our today's webinar. Over to you, Neha.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you to the entire team and school for inviting me to be here. And I'm excited and at the same time a little nervous. So, to release that, I'm going to invite everyone who's with us also on Facebook Live and here on the webinar with me. To before we start and talk about creative arts or mental health and well-being or myself or the work or guidance, I want you all to know we are here, we've gathered together to discuss, to learn and grow together in the process and see where we can take this ahead in next 1 hour to make it really fruitful for us. And as we begin the presentation, before that, I would request everyone, wherever you all are seated, at the comfort of your home or right into the webinar with me, with all the school teachers, parents, students, I request you all to just quickly close your eyes for a few seconds. And with your eyes closed, think of the time when you were involved in any art form. May that be in school, at home, with your children, by yourself, with movement, visual art, or playing some musical instrument. Just go back to that memory. And while you're going back to that memory, think how that made you feel. Involved thoroughly into that art form, not thinking about before and after, but into the moment with it. How did that make you feel? I would request you all to just take a moment wherever you all are. And let that feeling actually pop out for you right now. Beautiful. With the same enthusiasm, zest, and energy, let's actually begin. Gently open your eyes, everyone. What is creative arts as a therapeutic tool? We'll start a presentation. And to start this, creative arts as a therapeutic tool, हमने सबने सुना है जब ग्लास पूरा भरा होता है हम और पानी डालना चाहे तो भी नहीं डाल सकते. 1 sip more or 2 sips more, but you can't fill in the water more and more into the same glass that is filled. So before we start, anything and everything that you already know about therapy, arts therapy, or mental health and well-being, let's actually unlearn so that we can relearn with a fresh perspective and gain something out of this. So I request everyone to just have a clean slate before we start. Into the next slide, we'll talk about the introduction of what takes place into a creative arts therapeutic session. So being a session of mental health and well-being, and it involves behavioral psychology, so it's quite experiential in nature, where there are multiple different activities taking place, which we call it experiences and not activities, because it brings in a subjective difference to each and every person present in a group session. It is client-centered approach that is used for a session, because anything and everything that comes across as a need of the person coming in for the session, either a one-on-one or a group session, we go through the need analysis. We take place the need analysis and then have a client-centered approach where what is the need, anything that is coming up emotionally, socially, physically, or anything that is unknown for any person. So keeping it very subjective based on the need analysis, creating an integrative approach. The approach of creative arts therapy is considered an integrative approach because we either use two or more different art forms in a particular session depending on what the objective of the session is. Where what are the different approaches and what are the different art forms, we'll look into it ahead in the slide. But that's why it's called as an integrative approach. Along with that, the most important aspects of these sessions are the last 2 points, which is these sessions are quite confidential in nature because by the facilitator and the people present, participants present along with us, the level of confidentiality is maintained so that anyone and everyone who wants to share their heart out or share or express or verbalize anything that's taking place could be taken place in a confidential, safe, non-judgmental space that is created by the facilitator and the participants together. So these two are the most important pointers for any therapeutic session that takes place. And what comes under it, let's look into it in the next slide, which is this one umbrella of creative arts has so many multiple aspects to it. Anything that is creative in nature is something that we can consider as a therapeutic tool. To start off with, there's creative movement, which is very authentic in nature, where there's authentic movement coming out of any person by being comfortable in their own bodies and expressing anything that is inside them, which cannot be expressed in words. Of course, words can also help you verbalize and let loose and feel a little lighter at the end of it. But for people who really cannot verbalize, do not find words to express, these are the different forms, including creative movement, drama, theatre, visual art, where there's paint, colors, an open canvas available as a medium. Then there's play therapy, especially for kids and old age people. Then there's music as a therapeutic tool, because music does wonders to the ears and to people who are actually playing any musical instrument. Creative visualization used in the form of meditation or mindfulness, and creative writing as a free-flowing writing experiences given in a combined integrative approach, like I mentioned earlier, in either two or more different art forms mentioned are used, so that these are the platform available for people to like express themselves, use any of the medium that they connect with and express themselves. And into the next slide, let's discuss about why is it important and what is mental health and well-being. And we listen to mental health and well-being so much these days since the pandemic has taken place, because we have time, we've taken a back seat, we're relaxing and asking ourselves, ho kya raha hai? If you're not feeling well, if you're feeling a little dull, or if you don't feel like talking to someone, is it too intense? What spectrum is it on? What is it? This what and why questions have actually started coming up for anyone and everyone, and especially in our country, which is mental health is considered a taboo. But with some more awareness and some more awareness that's spreading into the country, let's discuss what is mental health, because it's a combination of our emotional, psychological and social well-being that we all are in our daily lives, and that actually affects our thoughts, feelings and actions, because how we think, how we feel, how we act is dependent on the emotional well-being that we are, the psychological well-being that's within us, and the social person that we are. So a combination of this is actually mental health and well-being. And how can we take care of it? Let's go on to the next slide. That there's importance to it, we know. But why is it important? Because that helps us handle the stress. When we are feeling fresh, at the peak of our great energy, we know how to relate to others in a mature, in a wise way, and also make choices, become a good decision maker. So when you think your personality is at its peak and is able to take care of itself, you can take care of the other parts of your life. And it is important at every stage, because in life, from your childhood to adolescence to adulthood, because may that be for your childhood, expressing how your emotions are, or understanding what you want to become a good decision maker to decide what is the career path you want to get onto, or as an adolescence, how do you want to approach your life ahead from there, because there's turning point there. And as an adult, how to become a social being where you can express, feel, and have healthy relations with yourself and others. Let's move on to the next slide, where what does creative arts therapy do in taking care of mental health? What are the end results that we achieve? Every human being has a creative side inside them. One of the most important thing is these sessions let you think out of the box, move our bodies differently. It actually builds our self-esteem, and the self-love that we talk about is being built through these different experiential sessions, either one session or multiple sessions for 3 months, 6 months, or a long run that we go through. Then what does groups dancing do? Group dancing, we've all heard about doing garba together as an Indian culture we have or something. But that is actually therapeutic in nature because it increases our social awareness. We are aware of social as a social being. It increases the different ways to communicate. It gives an access to communicate in different ways and understands our emotions and others' emotions also in turn, because that is equally important to become a social being. You cannot alone just take care of your own emotions and be okay with and just leave others' emotions as it is. That's not possible as a social being. And it also, these sessions also emphasize on the artistic experience as a tool of self-discovery, self-expression, and it integrates physical, mental, emotional, and social functioning. Because if there's no integration of any of these aspects, there's something that is imbalanced, the imbalance that is created, and it affects the other aspects of our life as a person. So these sessions also aids a person to feel differently about the same scenario, because if there's a role play suppose taking place, you have a different perspective. Oh, there is a different possibility to a same scenario is something that opens up for a person in a therapeutic session, is what I have experienced through my clients and through my own sessions for my own self when I go to my therapist. So, and role play also involves extensive movements which helps us express unsaid emotions and thoughts, because sometimes at home there's something that घर पे ठीक नहीं होता है, कभी कुछ हो जाता है, but you cannot let your anger out on your child or your parents or your sibling, because somewhere inside दिल बोलता है अरे यार बुरा मान जाएंगे. But what to do about that anger that is inside you? Are you going to contain it, hold it inside? अंदर रखोगे दब के रहेगा. उसके लिए access is role play. When you go to such sessions, you actually become something else. आप role play करते हो and you let all the unsaid and unexpressed emotions out of the system so that you feel a little lighter and healthier within you. And I've seen in the moments of beginning to move with music, people actually change how they look, feel, and the expression itself. आपने अगर ये session experience किया होगा, तो you feel at the end like really energized and simply relaxed and really centered to where you are as a being. And it actually combines the power of meditation, music, dance, art. A combination is really powerful. And most importantly, this is all done non-verbally. अगर हम किसी चीज़ के बारे में बात नहीं कर सकते हैं, this give access to your feelings and emotions, और उससे हमारा काम आसान हो जाता है, so that we express ourselves और better feel करने लगते हैं at the end of it, so that हम लोग positively feel करें, rejuvenated feel करें, and stress free रहे. Stress ये word काफ़ी सुनाई देता है. How to feel stress free is through these sessions by expressing the unsaid emotions. Let's move on to the next slide. Of course, there are these emotional well-being benefits. What are the other benefits of creative arts? Because as a child, there's holistic growth and development required for the brain, for the physical self, for the emotional self, mental, intellectual and spiritual self. Because हम जैसे ही खुद का ध्यान रखने लगते हैं emotionally, physically तो हम रखते ही हैं, but emotionally you move on to becoming a better person mentally and intellectually and spiritually if you're inclined towards it, and you grow as a person whole, as a whole person. हमको आगे और बढ़ने के लिए प्रोत्साहन मिलता है इन सब चीज़ों से. So let's move on to the next slide, where we've talked about so many benefits that creative arts therapeutic sessions have. And what are the simple steps towards self care and positive change? Everybody wants to change. Change to what? And change how? There's a positive change that's always available. और उसको हम कैसे कर सकते हैं? By taking care of the self. So the first step to it is being self-aware. How do we be self-aware? Because when you acknowledge that there is a need to change in your behavioral pattern to grow out of it, you know it, that that's the first step. You just have to be aware to move on to the next step, which is express everything that is inside your system, vent it out, let the catharsis take place, and also move forward from there to feel fresh. And after you move forward, you are in a space of mind to actually reflect, introspect that what is it that is happening in the present moment, how can I make changes or accept myself the way I am, so that the self-care takes place by your own self without expecting the world around you to do it. That's when the next step of healing takes place. You need to just trust the process and let the phenomenal changes take place for the self to see a different side of you in a fresh way. And how do we do that? The last step is to actually act with clarity, with fresh set of eyes that have just achieved through the therapeutic processes that you go through, and enhance the relationship with yourself and with others, which is a great way to actually self-care and bring in positive change for your own self. And moving on to the next slide. So this is not just something that we've been practicing art, craft, and it just happens automatically. No, there's also a science attached behind it. What does a facilitator do and how does it affect? There is a whole lot of research done in our country and in the entire world based on that. There are multiple platforms where you can actually go ahead and search what are the benefits, what are the research papers written. There are phenomenal and beautiful results that you can go up and read onto, which is a list that given on the right side of the screen. And on the left side, that I would explain how the research-based evidences actually work onto it. So the research demonstrates that this is called as a psychotherapy, which is very effective and effective for a variety of mental and behavioral health issues across a spectrum of population group. And the average effects of psychotherapy are much larger than the effect produced by many medical treatments. So there are medicines also available for it, but there is a way of actually weighing it, and you see a whole lot of difference, and the research proves it for that. It also shows that the most people who receive psychotherapy experience symptoms, relief, and are better able to function in their lives. So about 75% of people who enter psychotherapy show some benefit out of it. Which isn't that great, everyone, that the research itself is showing so much more that is available out there for us to feel better. And the average client receiving psychotherapy is better off than 79% of clients who do not seek treatment. Isn't that sad? Like, if you seek treatment, you are on the other side of 79%. And the scientific evidence shows that psychotherapy is generally as effective or more effective than medications in treating depression, especially when consumer satisfaction and long-term follow-up are considered. Because if you don't go for the therapy on a regular basis, then, so in hand with the medication, these therapeutic sessions, the said therapy session actually benefits a person going through anything and everything which is medically diagnosed. So let's move on to the next slide. What can actually drumming do for you? Because I do West African drumming with Taling, there's so many benefits to it which are for the body and mind, and it improves circulation, pain, tension relief, increases immunity, and the list goes on for the body. And what does it do for the mind? It's really a mindfulness activity, increases mental strength, improves concentration, peace of mind, enhances creativity, improves memory, and the list goes on. There's so much about it out there. And also you can go up on YouTube and go through this amazing video of how do emotions actually influence our body. There's mind and body connection that we talk about in dance movement therapy. And music and the other creative art forms actually affects your body and your mind, and there's a deep connection to it. And there's a whole lot of research and things out there. I would request you all to actually go through this YouTube video on your peaceful time after the webinar to just experience and know that how does it actually influence our body. It'll be a great thing if you're inquisitive and curious to know what does it actually do to you. Let's move on. If there are any questions or anything that anybody would like me to answer up here and out there on Facebook Live as well, just paste it and we'll do our best to answer the questions on Facebook Live. But right now I'm open to this.
Thank you so much, Neha. Thank you so much, Neha, for giving an insight about our today's topic. Now, we will go ahead with the question and answer round. I hand over to Gitanjali teacher to proceed further. Over to you, Gitanjali.
Thank you, Sarika teacher. Once again, a very good morning to all of you. Like every Sunday, this Sunday has also come up with a very interesting and educative topic, that is creative art therapy, a therapy of mind and soul. As we all are aware, art is all about discoveries. It is the phenomenon of losing and finding oneself at the same time. Today, I feel really blessed to have such a wonderful personality, Mrs. Neha Oswal Bhavna, our ex-student, creative art therapy facilitator, and psychology counselor amongst us. After hearing Neha so deliberately, we also strongly feel that sensitivity, empathy, emotional stability, patience, and interpersonal skills are the insight of human behavior which needs to be channelized in a proper way for healthy soul and healthy mind. We all are curious to know more about creative art therapy and eagerly look forward to our Sunday hour. So let's begin with the creativity exploration through our question answers round. Now, I request our student Sarthak Wagmare of Standard 10 to ask his question. Over to you, Sarthak.
Good morning to all. Myself Sarthak Sachin Wagmare from Standard 10. My question to ma'am is that what are different types and techniques used in creative art therapy?
Nice question, Sarthak. क्रिएटिव आर्ट थेरेपी में कौन से विविध टेक्निक्स इस्तेमाल किए जाते हैं? Over to you, Neha.
Thank you for a wonderful question, Sarthak. Okay, so like I spoke about 2 or more art forms, anything that you call art, which is the umbrella that we spoke about, is the different types of therapeutic tools that we use and what are the techniques. So for the technique, I would actually say that for the techniques, it's like being really open and aware of actually as a participant of a therapeutic session, being really open to what you want to bring forth, also being aware of how do you want to, where do you want to change, improve. And the techniques used by a facilitator is being a good listener. There are counseling techniques and skills that are required to become a therapeutic facilitator, and also creating a non-judgmental safe space that we spoke about. So anything that comes under the umbrella of arts, which is movement, which is drama, theater, arts, visual art, creative writing, any of these approaches that are feasible, accessible to the participants coming in, and something that they feel connected to, is something that is actually used as a form of technique in the sessions ahead after that. Thank you, Sarthak, and I hope this answers your question.
Thank you, Neha. Really, all these types and techniques will surely be an asset for the development of not only students, but everybody present. An open mind is always ready for the acceptance for positive changes. Further, we move on to our next question. Being a teacher, it becomes very important on our part to mold the little ones in a correct way. Hence, I would request a teacher, Sarika Paigude, to ask her next question. Over to you, Sarika, ma'am.
Okay. Neha, how can we identify the need of creative art therapy in our students, and how can we initiate this therapy?
A nice question, Sarika teacher. As a teacher, हम अपने बच्चों में क्रिएटिव आर्ट थेरेपी द्वारा उनके क्षमताओं को कैसे पहचाने और उन्हें पॉजिटिविटी की ओर कैसे ले जाए? How to develop their positivity?
So before even answering how, why to do it, I would say that this is required for anyone and everyone at whatever age you are. Because हम अगर हम 1 second, there's some okay. So अगर हम whatever age or whatever experiences that we are going through, अगर वैसा कुछ है तो there's nothing else. Who can give us a non-judgmental listening ear which is undivided attention is a counselor. When it comes counselor comes into the picture at such point. And for growth and development of a child, especially as a teacher, for growth and development of a child's brain holistically, the slide that I spoke about, the different other benefits that creative arts therapy has is required, because it either improves you to think out of the box, bringing creativity, or let the child feel emotionally healthy, because there's IQ and EQ both involved in ourselves, and that's important if we get access to from the younger age. And how to identify this was your question. I would say anything that you experience or see or identify different in a child in a classroom is a point where you must know that there's a requirement towards taking it into a different direction if as a teacher this is not helpful. Because as a student, when I was in my school, my teacher mentoring was enough for me to grow. But at some points, there's a missing gap which maybe my parents couldn't fill in or my teachers couldn't fill in, and there was a psychological aspect that came into picture which requires maybe just a counselor, because as a teacher, giving time and attention and a listening ear to so many students is such a difficult task. And how can we actually do that is the counselor comes into picture, and वही से उनका growth and development शुरू होता है. Like I said, EQ, IQ both. So वहाँ से ही development शुरू होता है, EQ का development. But वही हमको result दिखाई देता है हमारे academics में. So I feel it is equally important for anyone and everyone present, and maybe having it a space that I actually request for all the teacher schools, that a space where a counselor is available on hand for anything that comes up for a student. If they want to come up and just simply talk, there might be nothing more than that. शायद घर पे बात करने के लिए कोई नहीं है, या कोई अच्छा दोस्त नहीं है, या बस सुनना चाहते हैं, बोलना चाहते हैं, then it's required for anyone and everyone as an access is what I feel.
Very true, Neha. Everybody needs a patient listener. And as we know, teachers should be the keen observators. As a teacher, we have the right way to diagnose the children. Thank you so much. As we are proceeding further, our parent, Mrs. Bhavna Sharma, would like to ask the next question. Over to you, Mrs. Sharma.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Myself is Mrs. Bhavna Kamlesh Sharma, and I am housewife. So my daughter is Pariti Sharma. Her standard is a junior KGB. I want to ask some question. My question is creativity art therapy available to everyone? And what is the correct age of start to it?
Yes, Bhavna. क्रिएटिव आर्ट थेरेपी की जरूरत सही तौर पर किसे है और ये थेरेपी कब इम्प्लीमेंट की जा सकती है? प्लीज आंसर द क्वेश्चन, नेहा.
Wow, what a beautiful question. जो हर किसी को होता है, for anyone and everyone who is a new person into this and who doesn't know, like a layman has this question always. Thank you कि आपने ये सवाल पूछा, because इसका फ़ायदा बहुत लोगों को होने वाला है. Like I said, इसका कोई age नहीं होता है. I take session for mother toddlers also. So from the age जब वो 6 महीने का है बच्चा, तब से वो थेरेप्यूटिक सेशन के लिए आता है अपनी मम्मा के साथ. And I have worked for old age homes also, where there are so many pepped up emotions inside an old person also for so many years and decades, and if they've not gotten an access to actually let it out, or if they did not have access of what is counselor, what is a therapeutic session, what is it, that is the moment then they actually feel it, express it, and and have this freshness into themselves to move ahead with some growth and development within. And as a child, like I said, हमको ग्रो करने की ज़रूरत अगर बचपन से हमको वो एक्सेस मिल जाता है तो don't you think that person will grow as such a beautiful human being? Like, I feel if I would have gotten an access to therapy sessions or therapeutic sessions or a counselor for that matter at a younger age, I don't know what would have I been. Like how an amazing decision maker I would have been. How emotionally healthy would I have been? Of course, we all are emotionally healthy. But somewhere there are these missing gaps that I spoke about. तो इसकी ज़रूरत हम सभी को है और सभी को जब बहुत एक्सट्रीम हो जाता है बहुत डिप्रेसिव फील होता है द कॉमनली यूज्ड वर्ड डिप्रेशन आ जाता है विच इज़ नॉट अ वेरी कॉमन वर्ड एंड तभी हमको रियलाइज होता है दैट ओ आई थिंक आई नीड टू गो टू अ काउंसलर बट माई आंसर वुड बी नो वाई वेट फॉर समथिंग टू हैपन टू गो टू अ थेरेपी सेशन और अ थेरेप्यूटिक सेशन आई वुड रिक्वेस्ट एवरी वन टू जस्ट take care of yourself. It can be like how you visit a doctor, regular checkup. This is literally like a regular checkup of your emotional well-being. If you take care of your physical well-being, emotional well-being उतना ही important है आपके बच्चों के लिए, खुद के लिए, आपके पेरेंट्स के लिए और सारे generations के लिए मैं बोलूँगी. And I'm actually spreading the awareness through my work so that maximum people get benefit out of it. यही मेरा इंटेंशन है कि हम ये ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोगों तक पहुँचाएं और उनका फ़ायदा सभी को हो और शायद वो आप एक सेशन के बाद एक्सपीरियंस करोगे तब आपको रियलाइज़ होगा कि इसका इम्पोर्टेंस कितना है हमारे लाइफ में.
Wonderfully answered, Neha. Thank you. So age is no bar. Emotional outlet is a process right from birth where growing of mind and soul never stops. So it cannot be restricted up to the age group. Now we move on to our next question. Our teacher, Ms. Urvisha Rathod, would like to ask a query. Over to you, Urvisha teacher.
Good morning, ma'am. I would like to ask you a question. How does creative art therapy affect the brain, and what are the psychological benefits?
A very important question, Urvisha teacher. क्रिएटिव आर्ट थेरेपी ये हमारे दिल और दिमाग को कैसे प्रभावित करती है एंड व्हाट आर इट्स साइकोलॉजिकल बेनिफिट्स? ओवर टू यू नेहा.
थैंक यू उर्विशा फॉर सच अ वंडरफुल क्वेश्चन. अफेक्ट तो करता है बट हाउ डज इट अफेक्ट इज सच एन इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग. So scientifically, if I go to speak, it will take hours and hours for me to answer. But there are definitely some chemicals that are required for a person to feel better. What are those chemicals? नाम में क्या रखा है ज़रूरी नहीं है बट हम सबको पता ज़रूर होना चाहिए that there are these chemicals which are extremely important to induce from the within. ये chemicals हम बाहर से अंदर नहीं डाल सकते, of course डाल सकते हैं but why take in medication? How can we do that? Easy way is getting access to different art forms. Let the chemicals induce within. Feel a little better. And better हम किसको बोलते हैं? जहाँ पे आप comfortable रहे अपने space में, जैसे आप healthy feel करें अंदर से, जैसे आप बहुत ही अच्छा feel करें to communicate with others. These are the ways to actually get access to the therapeutic forms. And that's how it actually brings in a different side of yourself to yourself through the different art forms. Isn't that so simple? That because इसको कहते हैं बड़े शब्द use करते हैं, but it is so simple in nature that you can actually get access to these simple art forms, get into the therapeutic session, feel a little better, induce those chemicals, and actually get a different version of yourself out of the system and see a beautiful side of yourself. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we move on to the next question. Now we come to our last question. After hearing so much, I as a teacher would again like to ask you a question. Neha ma'am, I would like to know on behalf of our own student that what can they do to become a creative art therapist? क्रिएटिव आर्ट थेरेपिस्ट बनने के लिए कौन सी डिग्री या क्वालिफिकेशन की जरूरत है?
the very, very, very commonly asked question, because I have myself gone through struggle and so much uncertainty in my head when I wanted to approach this career path. And must say, it wasn't easy back then, 7 years ago. Researched quite a bit, spoke to so many people, got into this, but within our country, sadly, right now there are no particular degree courses available, but you definitely need a psychology background. So I would urge and request anyone who wants to get into this field, has a bachelor's and a master's degree in psychology, and then approach and have the other degree programs which is outside our country. In our country, there are a few institutions and universities which are now it's developing into degree courses, but we definitely, if you don't want to go for degree course, there are definitely, as a therapeutic facilitator, there are definitely lots of diploma and certified courses which are available for particular art forms, and as a whole creative arts therapy also, which can look up to online and figure it out. But for the degree courses, you need to move out of the country, and fortunately our country is actually becoming aware of the importance of these courses being available right here for all the students. And there are a few universities in Pune, in Bangalore, in Delhi that are actually designing the programs and coming up with degree courses, which will be a postgraduate or a graduate degree course, and which is still taking place. So this might take maybe a year or two, but in the next generations, they will have access to it right within our country. And I'm so looking forward to having more and more people being aware of it and getting into this therapeutic art forms for the benefit of the world. And I would suggest, ye sara degree courses, material, everything is right there. But before even knowing, is it your thing to become that person? You need to be really patient and need to be really an advocate to actually look into this cause. If you are an advocate of actually from the within, it comes for the cause of helping others, then this is it for you. Because without patience, without this thing coming from the within, without intuitive in nature or becoming getting into the field of therapeutic art forms or becoming a counselor, you need to have these qualities within you. And if you think you are that person who is inquisitive, intuitive in nature and wants to help someone and wants to grow yourself, because there's lots of self-work required, there's so much that you need to work on yourself ongoingly. I still study, practice, learn. There's something new coming up. There's so much research there's so much research that's happening. And there's so much new developmental changes happening in the world, because it's in the end subjective and it's human. We are changing every day. So much more coming into it. If you think you are up for becoming a learner ever, like forever learner, that's how you get into the path of creative arts therapy.
Thank you, ma'am. With this, we come to an end of our question answer round. Through this webinar, ma'am has cleared all our doubts and made us aware that these therapies can help us in expressing feelings and enhancing of patience, focus, and verbal skills. Thank you once again, ma'am. I hereby request Sarika Miss to present vote of thanks.
Really, we had a very interesting session with Neha. Now, I would like to offer my heartfelt thanks to our young and energetic guest, Mrs. Neha Oswal Bafna. We also appreciate all the efforts taken by you for the development of many individuals and also for the justifying the years spent by you for the society. I'm thankful to our chairman, Shri Subhashji Parmar sir, for his guidance and motivation always. I also thank our education committee members, our principal, Mrs. Jacinta Manuel, teachers, parents, and all our viewers on Facebook Live. I also extend my thanks to our talented technical team for their support and efficient work. We look forward to see you all in our next webinar. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Acharya Shri Vijay